and you had to get out of the plane and walk along the wing and press a buzzer at the end of the wing and let a flare off and then come back down the wing and get back in the plane. I've never experienced anything quite like it. And the worst part was because I didn't want to watch what was going on. So I would turn away and then I'd be looking at all these faces going, ugh, ugh, ugh. I can only imagine it's what heaven looks like. Because we got there and the clouds were pouring over the side of the mountain, and they're like, it's like a tablecloth just dripping over the side. And it was just breathtaking. There was the hotel area where the buses came in with all the new clients, and they were sort of checking in from all the buses. And all they saw was this man chasing the hotel security guard.
Welcome to Travel Secrets with me, Tanya Rose, the podcast sharing wisdom for fellow travellers. Each week, I ask my guests to reveal their 6 travel secrets and the holidays and adventures that surround them. I would just like to say thank you to Mason Rose, the sales and communication agency that represents some of the finest hotels around the world, for partnering with Travel Secrets, the podcast. Today, my guest is the beautiful and lovely Annabel Croft, superb British former #1 tennis player from a very young age of like 14, even probably before, to 21. She won almost every championship imaginable. She is the most familiar face and voice in tennis broadcasting. She has wooed the world with her Strictly Come Dancing with Johannes. And I think most of the British public were in tears watching your public choice dance, which was superb. You have a Annabel Croft Tennis Academy in Portugal, which I'm sure you'll tell us about. And you have a tour coming up called From Tennis Balls to Glitter Balls, which I can't wait to hear about.
Well, what a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think I need to follow you around all day because you give me such a lovely introduction.
Oh, it's so lovely to meet you. And I feel like we know each other so well because I love watching Wimbledon. And obviously you do such a fantastic job there.
Oh, well, thank you.
And I particularly loved the things you were wearing when you were presenting the prize or, doing the ceremony. They were amazing.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm absolutely a fashion fanatic, actually. I spend far too much time searching websites for fashion because I'm obsessed about it.
Well, so am I. So when I go to Wimbledon, my husband gets really cross with me because actually I have my binoculars on the fashion and the royal box.
Not watching the tennis ball.
The tennis is in front of us.
Well, it's a great people watching plays, but I'm a bit like you. I'm always noticing everything. In fact, the outfit that I wore for the women's final ceremony, I had spotted on a lady in the crowd at Queen's, and I literally was locked onto her, and I just thought she looked so fabulous. And are you somebody that takes pictures and then Google searches?
All the time.
Well, I actually thought I recognised it, and I found what it was.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, you look wonderful.
I want to wear that. Yeah.
Before we get into your travel secrets, can you just tell us a bit about yourself and how travel has impacted the person you've become?
That's such a great question because travel came into my life very, very early. I mean, obviously, you have the odd family holiday. And I remember family holidays were, in those days, actually, you weren't going on planes. We went on trains down to Spain. And I can remember going in the carriageway and sleeping overnight and how exciting that was. But then as a young tennis player, once I'd picked up a racket and started to play tournaments and, started to become involved in national training, then I was being invited to go and represent my country from the age of 12. So suddenly I was traveling a lot from age 12 to play tennis. And that just opened up this whole new world. So I was going to France and Germany and Sweden, even went to Israel. I went all over the world, America, then obviously into Australia and I mean, everywhere. But it was tennis that opened up those doors for me. And actually, I was so excited by the cultures that I was all the different cultures that you're experiencing. And in a way, because tennis almost took away an entire education for me. In those days, I just sort of gave up education and was just hitting tennis balls every day. But I learnt my education through the travel. And actually also through my children's education, watching their education was sort of a way of revisiting education for me. But
how amazing! You were 12 when you started traveling.
Yeah,
so
and
incredible.
you can imagine at that age, it was just so exciting. And I was staying with different host families. I was obviously going through lots of airports and then going to the venues where the tennis courts were or the tournament was going to be held. But I was very intrigued by everything about travel. I just thought it was so exciting. And it was also making me think that the way you do things in, UK, where you're brought up, it's not the only way to live. You're suddenly seeing how other cultures exist, or how do they do healthcare, or, how do they eat, or what do they do, or how do they dress, all sorts of things connected with that country or that city. And I was very, very intrigued by all of it. So I loved it. I almost enjoyed that aspect of being a tennis player more than I did the actual competition and the tennis.
Because it was very hard, I would imagine.
I talked about it the other day. I'll never regret anything about being a tennis player. I mean, it's opened up so many wonderful doors for me, and it's been an amazing experience. But, and I'm still very much in love with the sport. Always have been, ever since I picked up a racket. Funny enough, on a family holiday to Spain. That's why I first picked up a racket in Marbella. But the sort of lifestyle of that traveling circus and living your life competitively was something that dawned on me very quickly when I was then an international sort of, professional tennis player. I sort of think, I'm not sure I want this into my 30s. I sort of realized that I didn't. So that was something I was having to wrestle with in my brain quite early on. I was like, I loved tennis when I picked it up. I dreamed of playing at Wimbledon. I visualized all of that. I was sort of absolutely hell-bent on trying to become a professional tennis player. But when the reality of what the lifestyle was and what I'd chosen and how I was being taken down this track, suddenly I was questioning what was happening. And so, it took me a few years to figure out that
but
maybe...
But 21's very young to have made those decisions. So that's incredible that you had the foresight to really realize.
I do realize that. But I also think that at 21, I'd lived the life of somebody like 35.
Yeah.
So my life had been around lawyers and, managers, coaches, all sorts, sponsors, and dealing with a lot of very adult things when you're not very adult, but you're kind of being thrust into that adult world. And also, it's a little bit like a student going off backpacking or something and spending quite a bit of time going traveling and exploring the world. So, there are similarities in that regard. But, it is an extraordinary upbringing, isn't it, going into international sport at such an early age. I think any athlete or anybody who's been in that kind of world, you're not going to have a normal childhood or a normal life. So,
But we're glad you did have that because you were wonderful. And also, I'm very glad that you decided to then become a pundit because you're fantastic.
Oh, well,
I think the way you interview people is very different from a lot of people who are just presenters because you know how it feels. You know the game.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy listening to you interviewing people.
Well, I feel like I've learned on the job, and there were many things to learn about interviewing along the way. I'm sure you feel the same way sitting
still
there.
learning.
Yeah. Well, we're all still learning. But I realize that when you're interviewing somebody, it's never about you, is it? And so when I'm interviewing a player, you must always remember, take yourself out of the equation and try to, what I call, pass the ball and let the audience learn from that person is how I view it. Keep it simple. So,
well, let's get into your travel secrets then. I'm going to pass the ball over to you.
Okay.
What's the number one destination you think everyone should go to once in their lifetime?
Well, I'm going to take it back to when I was 13, actually. And my dad was very well traveled. And we did this incredible family holiday when I was 13. And he took us out to Argentina and Brazil. And I just remember going to the Igazú Falls when I was 13, and it was spectacular. And it is something that actually I'd like my own family to go and visit, because if you haven't seen those pink waterfalls for yourself, it's just breathtaking, and you can't quite believe that it is real and it's natural, and the color and everything about it. It's extraordinary. I saw it a very long time ago, so I'm not sure how it's changed over those years. I'm sure it is still as spectacular as it was, but it's never left me. And, I think that part of the world is really interesting anyway. I'd like to go and explore it more, to be honest, but that will stand out for me. And I sort of think, I think everybody should go and see those pink waterfalls.
I think that's a wonderful answer. And I haven't been. I've seen them obviously in The Mission, the film, where they have amazing.
Yeah, I think to see it in real life,
amazing.
It's incredible. And it's the colour. It's like, wow, pink waterfalls.
Amazing.
And it's just so vibrant, and the noise and the sheer scale of it. It was breathtaking.
Did you have a lovely holiday when you went with your parents?
We did, yeah. I mean, we went to Guarujá and Rio and a place called Bariloche, which was actually very similar to Switzerland in a weird way.
Really?
Which, I mean, that was, and actually since I've, all these years later, I've sort of spoken to the odd people about it and they say, oh my goodness, everybody should go to Bariloche. It's incredible. And I went to Buenos Aires and I went back there to film something many, many years later. But I loved all the sort of tango in the streets and the artistic areas and the food there. I mean, I'm a big meat eater anyway, and I love my red meat. But I mean, the red meat and the red wine.
This big.
Yeah. I mean, you go to a restaurant in Argentina and they'll have a picture of the cow up, and it's like, which piece are you going to eat? We're not used to viewing menus like that in our part of the world, but. The food there is really incredible and they're very, very cultured and red wine is absolutely delicious. And
what did you go back and film there?
I went back to film a program called Fear Factor. Do you remember Fear Factor? I didn't know much about it at the time, but oh my goodness, it was extraordinary. It was a very fearful program where they're going to take you in teams to do strange things. So we went to the Casa Rosada and we went to the mausoleum where Eva Perón Evita. That was quite spectacular. And we filmed in the sort of the graveyard there quite late at night and they made it very atmospheric. It was quite creepy. But I also did wing walking there, which I never thought, well, exactly. It was being taken up in a biplane and you had to go up on your own. Well, the pilot was there and you're in the plane and then you were kind of clipped in with a couple of, I think they're called O-rings, and you had to get out of the plane and walk along the wing and press a buzzer at the end of the wing and let a flare off and then come back down the wing and get back in the plane. And honestly, when I did it, I could not believe I put myself in that position. I was thinking, what the hell are you doing? And Andrew Castle, a very good friend of mine, Wimbledon commentator as well, does the finals every year. He was in my team and he did it as well, but not something that I would want to repeat because even when you're in the plane and you're trying to get out of the plane, you can't breathe when the wind rush is coming at you. So you have to turn your head to the side to get air. But anyway, I suppose I've done some mad things in my life and I would put that right up there as one of the most mad things I've ever done. But I'm sort of glad I did it, but I wouldn't want to do it again.
That's very much... What is it called? Face the fear and do it anyway.
Yes. I mean, there's things like bungee jumping and jumping out of a plane, which my kids have all done on their travels, which I was so grateful I didn't know about it until after they'd got back down safely.
And they were safe.
But I would never do that. I just know that as I've got older, I've got more fearful of things like that. And I just would never do a bungee jump because I know it would be me that the rope does something funny and I go splat at the bottom. Or I do my back in, I wouldn't be able to do any sport again or something.
I would definitely jump out of a plane,
would you?
Parachute, if I had someone with me, where they have the...
well, maybe, yeah, if you're harnessed
but
in.
I would never get on the wing of a plane.
Wouldn't you?
No. I mean, that's terrifying.
Honestly, it was really terrifying. And yeah. Anyway, I did it.
I was going to ask you what's your most unexpected travel tale, which it could
maybe
be
that's it. I know, maybe that is it.
Maybe you've got another one.
Well, that probably would be right up there, actually. But I very distinctly remember, and when I was young, I mean, the tours changed a lot over the years, but in those days, back in the 80s, we went all over different parts of the world. But one particular trip was in Taipei. And I played a tournament there. I remember it being incredibly hot and humid. And I was traveling with a couple of other players. And we sort of said, oh, what's the local thing to go and do? Because I quite liked to go and see a few things culturally. And they said, oh, you have to go to Snake Alley. And I didn't really know what it was. And I'm sort of a bit squeamish anyway. Anyway, I won't go into detail on what goes on there, but it was horrific. And in fact, I had to turn away because I know that it's very cultural there and they'll sort of drink the blood of the snakes and the turtles and it's supposed to give you virility. Is that the right word? I'm not sure. But there's a lot of locals that go there and, there'll be piles of snakes all the way along the walkway. And
oh my God, what, just loose?
Yeah, in piles. And they would kind of like hook them all up. And
they didn't
people were just drinking. It was honestly... I've never experienced anything quite like it. And the worst part was because I didn't want to watch what was going on. So I would turn away And then I'd be looking at all these faces going, ugh, ugh, ugh. And that was almost worse because I still can visualize all the people around watching what was going on. And that's unfortunately a memory that will stay with me forever. But I'm sure it still probably exists.
In Taipei.
It was very famous. But it's where the locals all went. And
for their virility.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'll be drinking snake blood. I hate snakes anyway. Two things I hate are snakes and rats. And you know when people do the jungle celebrity thing, they ask you your fear and then they make you... If they put me in a coffin with rats running over me or snakes, I think my heart would give up anyway.
I think so too. I'm like you. I just couldn't do it. And in fact, you've reminded me that when I was very young, when I had just stopped playing tennis, the very first job that I was offered was a Janet Street Porter show called Network 7. And they had asked if they could, they said, are you interested? We're going to send 3 people to the jungle in Sri Lanka. And we're going to, they wanted a female. That was me. I was going to represent sport, I suppose. And they had a city stockbroker, a Parkhurst prison inmate, and an actor from Brookside. So actually it was four of us. And I was then dumped in Sri Lanka on this desert island. And it was just like, see if you can survive. And in those days, again, we didn't really have health and safety like they do now and filming set. And there were snakes and monitor lizards and everything. And we didn't have a studio. There was nothing. They were just literally just dumped on this island, which was monsoon season. So we were being absolutely drenched every night until we worked out how to build a camp. But it was utter madness. And many, many years later, I met a TV producer from ITV. He said, you do realise that was the beginnings of Get Me Out of Here. That's what we based the show on.
I bet they do. Yeah. But I think it's much more luxurious, Celebrity Get Me Out of Here, compared with that.
They have a studio. Not a studio, but it's kind of a set, isn't it? Whereas we were literally just like, it's like going out into the jungle and just
How long were you there for?
Oh, it was probably about 10 days or something, but there was no food and there weren't water bottles or anything. It was just like a well. They gave us some pills to stick in the well and drink some of that.
Very intrepid.
Yeah, it was very intrepid. But actually, I loved the fact that I felt like a cave woman. And I thought, this feels like, I don't have a credit card to sort anything out. There's no light. I can't turn the light on to see anything. So when it got dark at 4 or 5 in the evening, we had to build a fire and kind of talk to each other. And we just sang songs around the fire and told stories. And I'd hear, everybody else's life. So yeah, that was very interesting.
And that was your first thing out when you had stopped playing tennis?
Yeah, that was the very first thing I did. And that did get some publicity back in the UK while we were out there. And then that's when I ended up doing Treasure Hunt. So the producers had seen that. And then I was very fortunate to be asked to do Treasure Hunt.
Did you know you wanted to be a broadcaster?
I didn't really know what I wanted to do because I stopped playing tennis and I decided I knew I needed to go in a different direction, but I knew I didn't have any education. And it's funny when I look back, I think, how could you be so not ballsy, but kind of just have confidence just to go out and find what you wanted to do. And I just made lists for myself of people I wanted to contact. And I knew I had enjoyed being around cameras and sort of meeting producers. And, I enjoyed that world. But don't forget, in those days, there was only 4 channels. Yes. So it was a much smaller world and sports TV didn't really exist. So the opportunities were very, very few. So I just was finding my way, really. But it was fun to go and do lots of other things that I had never had a chance to do.
And Treasure Hunt was amazing.
It was really fun. I mean, I was traveling all around the whole of the UK, visiting all these country homes and castles and stately homes, various different locations, which had been so well researched. And that program was fantastic because it brought a lot of parts of the UK to an audience back at home, of places they probably never knew they could go and visit. And so that was very much travel in the UK. Yeah. And actually the program did take us to New Zealand as well, which was amazing.
Oh, I'd love to go to New Zealand.
Oh, you must go. I actually still to this day, of all of the travels I've done, have thought that New Zealand is the most beautiful country I've ever visited.
Everybody says that.
And when we filmed Treasure Hunt there were like the great, these lakes, which are the blue lakes and honestly, it's just breathtaking.
Did you go
beautiful.
to Waiheke Island, which is opposite Auckland? Apparently it's absolutely gorgeous.
I don't think I went to
and they have vineyards there, and apparently it's absolutely wonderful.
I don't think I did go there, but we did. There were a lot of like ceremonies that they did with the locals, and went to the place where all the geysers go off and it smells of sulfur and the eggs, and Oh, it was just amazing. It was really spectacular.
My husband says he'd like to go and live there, but I said it's a bit far.
Yeah, it is a bit far.
Very beautiful, but very far.
Beautiful. But in many ways, it was sort of very like going back in time. But there's something quite nice about that. I sort of always think I wish we could go back in time because everything is going in such a direction, digitally and technically, and I just not.
And
sure
it's all becoming so homogenous as well.
Yeah.
All the streets in every country have got the same shops.
Yes, exactly.
It's actually nice to go
I agree with
backwards.
you. So I sort of feel like actually when I went to New Zealand, even all those years ago, it was going back in time, and I sort of think it's quite refreshing.
Yeah, so lovely.
Yeah.
What's your most underrated or overrated place you've been to?
Oh gosh, there must be so many places. But quite recently, I was doing a talk on a cruise, which I really enjoyed way more than I thought I would. And we stopped off in Pisa. And I went to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which I had always heard about. Everyone's always heard about it.
Seen the picture.
Seen the picture. But when you go there and you see it in real life, it is quite spectacular. Yes. And you're looking at it and it's so large and it is so leaning. And it was so much more impressive than I had visualized myself. So I would definitely recommend people went to see it. But the funny thing was, this is how naive I am. I just thought, I went with my friend Fiona and I just sort of said, let's go and see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, thinking it was just sort of going to be on a piece of parkland and be quite open and spacious and everything. Of course, when you get there, there's thousands of people that want to see it. So it's quite packed and crowded. And you have to kind of wait your turn to try and get a gap to be able to get the picture and see what it really looks like. But it is right there in front of you and it's extraordinary. Have you seen it?
No, I've only seen it in pictures and I've been to Pisa, not Pisa, but Tuscany and all around, but I've never actually gone into Pisa to see it. I will do so.
No, you must do
Absolutely.
it. I just can't even explain it. It's extraordinary.
How lovely. And what cruise were you on?
I was on Cunard and Queen Anne, and I did another one very recently, Queen Victoria, where I went to Split and travelled through. And I've now decided that cruises are actually really fun. I get it now.
Yeah.
And they're so well organised, and they have, I do my talks in the theatre, but the theatre is like going to the West End Theatre. I mean, it's
really? So it's like a proper theatre?
Oh, it's like huge and very ornate and beautiful velvet seats. And also what I like is that, I go and watch everybody else speak or dance or sing. And I went to watch an amazing pianist called Dominic Ferris the other day, who was extraordinary. I mean, it was just breathtaking, his performance. So I quite like going to watch other people.
What do you talk about?
Well, I talk about, I always say to people when you watch Wimbledon, it's like watching the glamour side of the sport. And of course, we have 4 Grand Slams in our sport, which is Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon and US Open. So when you're watching those Grand Slams, you're seeing the pinnacle. But what you don't know is what it took somebody from age 9, which I was when I picked up a racket, that journey and what I call the apprenticeship that gets you to Wimbledon. So I sort of take people on that journey because I think it's quite an eye-opener to see it's not the glamour side of it. It's all the kind of background and traveling around on red eyes and Greyhound buses across America and, staying in strange places and not the very unglamorous side.
And then a lot of people don't even get to the pinnacle.
Don't even get there. Exactly. They don't even make it to the tournament. So it's sort of trying to open people's eyes to what you're watching when you are watching these tournaments is, give you an insight into actually what those players have all been through to get there. And then as you've mentioned already, when I stopped when I was 21 and moving into broadcasting, I'll just tell people a few stories about broadcasting and some of the funny things that have gone on and then how that led me to Strictly Come Dancing, which was such a wonderful show to be a part of. So I just like to take people on a bit of a journey really and throw a few stories around.
Have you actually ever written a book about your life?
No, I haven't. For my speaking tour, we've produced a kind of a
pamphlet.
It's kind of like a small little book, but it's got archive of, lots of press cuttings and photographs and kind of my journey along the way. So we've kind of put that together with the tour. And actually, when I put it together, it was quite strange for me kind of going up into the attic and just laying out and what was my life, in front of me over all these years. And it was quite quite strange doing that and putting that together. But maybe one day I may or may not do a book. I don't know. I'll see.
Everyone
how it
has
goes.
a book in them, apparently.
That's what I always say that to other people, actually. So yeah. You've done a book.
I have. But
did you enjoy doing it?
I did. It was really fun. Really fun. But I think yours would be much more interesting.
Oh, I'm sure it wouldn't.
And actually, before we started this podcast, you showed me an amazing letter that you found recently that you wrote yourself about things you wanted to achieve. So just tell us quickly about that.
Yeah, my mum gave it to me, and she'd found this essay that I wrote when I was 11. And it was the title for all of the pupils was, "What Would I Like to Do?" And when I reread this letter that I'd written, it was, I would like to play tennis, and I'd like to travel all around the world playing tournaments, and I'd like to win a cup at Wimbledon, but I'd also like to dance on stage. And I was looking at it thinking, this is extraordinary. I had no idea I'd written this. But I obviously had it all mapped out in my head, what I wanted to do when I was older.
Your visualization, your vision board.
Yeah,
amazing.
It was amazing reading it. And actually, when I do my speaking tour, the gentleman called James Cutler, who's going to interview me, he is a ballroom dancer and he won at Blackpool. But I think after I read that letter, I thought, oh, that gives us a reason to dance together, because I miss the dancing, actually.
I bet you do.
I loved it so much. And, you know, I think that letter gives us a reason to just do a couple of numbers. Otherwise, I think for people coming to a theatre, you know, a speaking tour, you want to see something maybe a bit more than just two people sitting in chairs. So we're gonna dance a bit. So,
lovely. Did you actually keep your dancing up?
I did for a period of time, because Johannes Radebe, who I danced with on Strictly, asked me to dance with him at the Palladium. And I thought, and he had his own tour, and he wrote a dance for me in his show. And I was so honoured that he asked me to do that. And I just thought, when would I ever get another chance to dance? Well, certainly with him, but at the Palladium, it would just be once in a lifetime opportunity. So I did dance with him, and I absolutely loved it.
How wonderful.
No, it was really wonderful. So we did that. And actually, I think it's one of the most amazing things I've ever done in my life, actually, when I look back. Just the atmosphere in the theatre.
I wish I'd come to see that. That sounds amazing.
Well, it was amazing. And to be in that theatre and with him on stage, and then receiving the reception that we got, and just the feelings of being on stage in that environment, it was unbelievable. So I don't think it will ever be repeated again, actually.
And he's from South Africa, isn't he?
Yes.
So I think you need to do a tour of South Africa with him. He'd be the best person to show you around, wouldn't he?
Yes, he would. I mean, I'm just so admiring of his story, you know, because he came from a township, and, you know, I know I've read his book, and I actually used to say to him, you're like Novak Djokovic, because his detail towards his own dancing and his own career. And I admire his journey from going from a township onto a cruise. And of course, when I was doing the cruise recently, I was like, oh, wow, this is what Johannes did for 7 years before he got an opportunity to dance on Strictly. And I just think it's incredible what he's done. Yeah. But South Africa is a place I did play tennis in. And actually it was, I went to Johannesburg and Durban. I played in 2 tournaments there, and those 2 tournaments actually lifted my ranking. So I look back on it as a place that really moved my career on. And so I went back quite recently with the family to visit, and it was amazing. I went to Cape Town, which I'd never been to before. And actually that was one of the venues I was going to talk about, because it was just so spectacular, Table Mountain. And I think it was more spectacular than I could. Have you been there?
Yes, I love
you
South
would
Africa.
understand it. Yeah.
It is amazing.
I thought Cape Town, well, we went as a family. It was the most amazing holiday, and it more than lived up to expectations. And we all climbed Table Mountain, which is quite a hike. I mean,
I haven't done.
Oh my goodness. I mean, you need some stamina and you need to be strong, and it's exhausting, but it's so worth it when you get up there. And we went sort of quite late in the day when the sun was just coming down. It was just starting to set, but also it was less hot then. But when we got up there, I mean, it was like, I can only imagine it's what heaven looks like. Because we got there and the clouds were pouring over the side of the mountain, and they're like, it's like a tablecloth just dripping over the side. And it was just breathtaking. And of course I don't know how to describe it. It was like heaven. And more spectacular scenery, and you're looking out over the whole of the vista.
Where did you stay in Cape Town?
We rented a place out there, and we just had a house that was quite near the water, and we just loved it. Yeah, we stayed near Camps Bay, but it was a spectacular holiday. And
did Johannes give you any tips whilst you were in South Africa or in Cape Town, where to go and what to do?
I spoke to him when we were out there, and he was sort of like, oh, my heart is, feeling it. He just loves his country so much. And he definitely gave us lots of tips along the way. But I think he loves his home country. So I can understand why. I can understand why people fall in love with it.
I love it. Let's go on to food and drink. It's so much part of travel.
Yeah.
What's the best meal you've ever had? Where's the best meal? What cocktail? Let's just talk generally about what you like eating. You've already told me you're a huge meat eater, but let's just talk about food and drink.
Well, I love food generally. I mean, I love all flavors, all colors. I love healthy food. I love non-processed food. But actually, one of our most favorite places, it sounds so simple, but it's called Senhor Frango in the Algarve. And it's basically piri-piri chicken and chips with tomato and onion salad with oregano and garlic and olive oil. And they do lovely pickled carrots. And we've been going there for 30 years. My husband, Mel, absolutely loved it. And it was always our favorite place to go if we land at the airport in Faro. Drive straight to Senhor Frango's, and it's a secret recipe. We've tried so hard to get the recipe from them, but they'll never tell you what it is. And it's just, the chicken just tastes so amazing. And the tomatoes are so delicious, and with that oregano, and there's some sort of lemon in there. I know there's lemon and chili in the dressing of obviously they've marinated the chicken, but it's amazing.
Delicious. And is that near your tennis camp?
It's quite near where the tennis academy is, which is another sort of, I'd say, another 20 minutes down the road. But whenever we're there, we always tell people to drop in on it, or some of the pros that we have down at the tennis academy, we've taken them there occasionally for some team dinners and things. So yeah, it's absolutely wonderful. It's delicious.
That sounds fabulous. And we have a fantastic hotel in the Algarve called Villa Vita Park, which is wonderful. And so next time I go there, I'm going to
you definitely. Yeah, you've got to sample the chicken and chips, because I think it's so simple and it's not expensive. They do delicious wine. And in fact, if you go there in the winter, you can go inside. I mean, we tend to sit outside, and they have these sort of it's almost like great big planks of wood that you sit at for the table, and it's kind of in their car park, but it's under olive trees and things. But if you go in the winter, you can go into the restaurant, and they've got lovely kind of like labels of wine everywhere. So they're I think they're foodies there. So they've got a very, very good recipe for success, and it's packed out in the summer. I mean, honestly, it's just...
Do you go every year?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm down there to see the academy regularly anyway, but I will always stop there on the way down to the academy. But yeah, I always, if people ask me for a recommendation, I'll always say, I probably shouldn't have said it on here, because now
it's not a secret
and I won't be able to get a table there.
And with the academy, are you very involved with it, or how does that work?
Well, my husband Mel used to run it. So obviously, now that sadly he's not with us, we have an amazing lady, Charlotte, who runs it for me. We speak nearly every day, and we're just across everything that goes on with running an academy and sort of keeping a team of pros going. And we've just taken out a tennis court actually and put more paddle courts in.
Oh yes,
so we've now split it into 4 tennis and 4 paddle, because paddle is growing as a sport. And we needed there were so many demands on the academy at the hotel at Pinecliff, so we've sort of grown it really, and it's fun. I mean, I really enjoy it. So I try and get down there as much as I can. But I think it's lovely to see actually what goes on there is how I started playing tennis. Very similar setup, a very sort of charming setup, very casual, relaxed, but just teaching young kids and adults how to play tennis in a very relaxed, so hopefully happy atmosphere. And I don't want people to think, just because it's a tennis academy, that it's for producing world-beating tennis players. It's the opposite. Yeah. It's literally for families and people to come and enjoy learning how to play the sport and have fun at the same time.
Oh, that sounds perfect. There used to be one in Portugal called, was it Roger Taylor Academy?
Yes, yeah, he used to run an academy. That was a little bit back towards where Chicken Frango's is.
Right.
Senhor Frango's. But I think that's called something else now, actually. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm definitely
going to your chicken and chips place, and if I have time, I'm going to go and play paddle. I want to learn paddle.
Yes, let me know. Oh, you have to learn paddle.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah, everyone
We
says
played
so.
it as a family in South Africa, and the wonderful thing about paddle is it's much easier than tennis. I mean, I don't want to stop people playing tennis.
That's why I want to play.
I know. Well, actually, you need to be really fit to play paddle because you get a sweat up really quickly, and people who've played squash can play it very easily because you play off the back wall, and I haven't mastered that at all. I keep running at the ball when the ball's going to go over your head and go past you. But you get great rallies, and it's like playing beach tennis, really, because it makes a thud sound when you're hitting it. But it's fun, and you get good rallies, and you laugh a lot. Yeah. That's the most important bit. You laugh a lot.
So it's actually fun, and people are playing it and having a good time, which is wonderful. What is your top travel tip?
Well, I have lots of travel tips because I feel like I am an expert in how to pack, what to take, working out your outfits and everything. I mean, I have a Globetrotter suitcase, which has been with me all around the world. It's been everywhere. I love it. It's very old fashioned and very beautiful, the suitcase actually. And, I have people coming up to me in airports going, where is your suitcase from? It's so smart. Because they do stand out because they're very different.
They're beautiful, aren't they?
They are kind of like works of art, really. But I can get my tennis racket in there. But my tip is to pack flat. My mum was an air stewardess for Pan Am.
Oh, was she?
And she always taught me you have to lay everything out flat, which is what I do. So I've sort of become an expert at how to lay everything flat. And I always do take melatonin with me, actually. Because when I've been broadcasting and I've sort of had to go to Australia and then the next day start commentating, I have learned that melatonin does really help you to get into that sleeping pattern.
That takes us nicely onto the poignant story. So what is the most poignant travel experience or
Well, I was trying to think about this with my daughter Lily, and she reminded me of this trip where we went to a wedding in Thailand. And it was an extraordinary story, really, because we were staying at this lovely hotel just not too far away from where the wedding was going to be. I think, in fact, this happened after the wedding. So the wedding had taken place. We were then going to relax at the hotel. And we'd all been to the gym. My husband, Mel, stayed behind and went to the gym a bit longer. And we all went out to the hotel pool. And we were sort of looking at our watches going, where the hell is Dad? What's he doing? And about an hour later, he appeared disheveled at the pool. And he goes, guys, you're never going to know what's just happened to me. And he then proceeded to tell us the story. And he'd gone back to the hotel room, showered. And while he was toweling down, he heard the door to the sliding door to the hotel room open. And when he peered around the door, a security guard had entered the room and was starting to snoop around the room to take things. So Mel came out of the hotel room to kind of have a look and sort of say hello. And the security guard legged it. So my husband, Mel, wrapped his towel around him. He was still a little bit wet from the shower.
And
started chasing him around the hotel. And so he said it was quite extraordinary because he said there was the hotel area where the buses came in with all the new clients. And they were sort of checking in from all the buses. And all they saw was this man chasing the hotel security guard. And he was barefoot as well.
And wrapped in a towel?
He was wrapped in a towel. And he was a big man, my husband. He was 6'4". So he was chasing the security guard past all the new clients coming into the hotel and all the buses. Then the security guard darted through a bush, and Mel said, we're not going through the bush. So he went round the side of the bush. They went up onto a golf course, and there were people putting out on the green. And it was like a Benny Hill classic.
That's hysterical.
He went past them. And these people were putting out going, what the hell is this client?
That really sounds like Benny Hill.
It was ridiculous. Anyway, he then kind of went past the putting green and then onto the golf course, and the guy was gone. And of course, then he came back to the hotel disheveled. And anyway, the hotel were incredibly apologetic. And sadly, I mean, this is the part that's very sad. We were all very sad for the security guard because no matter what he was doing, we knew he was obviously doing it out of desperation. Yeah. And the hotel were very, very apologetic. And they obviously went to sort of track this guy down. But when they went to where he lived, he'd fled. Yeah. And we were very sad about it because we don't know what happened to that man. And we don't know what happened to his family and also why he did what he did. And obviously in Thailand, that would be not not accepted at all. So, I sort of think in life, sometimes you look at circumstances. I mean, you just don't know why people do what they do for a reason.
It's a very funny story.
It is
it's a sad story.
It's a legendary story in our family because it was
story.
so funny how Mel kind of turned up at the pool and he just had this extraordinary scene. And he said, you just would never know that this had happened. But anyway, it was very amusing.
That is very, very amusing. And actually talking about your lovely husband, and I'm so sorry, we all know that you lost him just before you did Strictly. I remember you telling a story about a camper van that you used to travel a lot with him in. Did he do it up or something?
He did. It was his idea, and it was during lockdown, and Mel had always had dreams of just traveling around in a camper van, really. And he didn't know too much about the fact that you could convert ours was an old DPD postal van. And during lockdown, he just started researching it and he started to say, oh my goodness, this is amazing. And because Mel was a yachtsman, that's where, when I met him, he was a professional yachtsman and he'd done the America's Cup. And so travel and being with the elements and, just cultures and sea, air, water, sunshine, he just loved it. And so he loved nature. And when he started to research these vans, he said, I'm going to do one of these. And being a yachtsman, they can build and fix anything.
That's incredible.
He was Mr. DIY. And so he went and bought this old postal van. And when I did it together, and we did it with our best man, Guy, who was staying with us at the time. And they did it together. And we converted this van into this amazing little home. It's like being a snail with a home on your back. And it looks like a yacht inside. It was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And we then went on these trips in the camper van. And honestly, Mel would have lived in it. He had it parked in our driveway. It's still parked in our driveway, but he used to sometimes just go and sit.
And sleep.
Yeah, he would actually. And he would go and, put the cricket on or put the tennis on or whatever he wanted to watch and just sit out there with a beer and watching whatever he wanted to watch.
Amazing.
But he was
that
happiest.
Was his man cave.
Man cave. It was definitely his man cave. But then he had dreams of taking the van, down into Porto and going and seeing the wine region or, going and traveling through Portugal and going and staying. I think they're called posadas, aren't they? Yeah. All the sort of beautiful castles and things in Portugal. That was one of his dreams. And he'd put an outdoor shower on the back of the van. So, it still is there. And my children have taken the van various different places.
Good.
Mel and I went to many places in it. We went to Wales and we went to Northumberland. We went to Scotland. My daughter Lily, she took it with her boyfriend all the way up across the whole of the Hebrides and Scotland, which was absolutely magnificent. It was something Mel wanted to do as well. But there is something very special about being in a camper van because you don't plan anything. Well, you can plan a trip, but you can kind of be very free. And it had, solar panels. It was off-grid. It could go anywhere as long as you had somewhere to stay. And
amazing.
Yeah, we really enjoyed it.
And a shower at the back of it.
Yeah, it has a shower inside and a loo.
Oh, does it as well?
And a kitchen and an oven and.
I'd love you to send me a photo of it.
I'd
love to see that.
I will. But if you look at Vanabel, he called it Vanabel. Put a V in front of Annabel. There's a whole thing on Instagram. She had her own Instagram account, but we did the whole build on there, and then. He, as I said, he just absolutely loved it. But it was beautiful. It literally is like a yacht inside. And it had a seating area where you could sort of sit there like you're on a train carriage with a table in front of you. Or you could put the table down and then have 3 seats and like with all the cushions. And he had a bed because he was 6'4.5". So he had the bed where you could pull the bed out at night and then have it extended and then push it back in and then make the table setting around. And he always was very good at breakfast. So he cooked bacon and eggs and sausages every morning. And
incredible.
We had our own little routine, but it was really fun. It was very freeing.
Well, I think you should definitely use it again and definitely let your kids use it.
Yes,
I think it sounds
definitely.
marvelous.
Yes,
and I'm going to look up at Vanabel on Instagram.
Yeah, you must.
So I asked you to bring a photograph. Can you tell us about the photograph or photographs and how they sum up travel for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about my suitcase. So I have a picture of me sort of outside my front door with my suitcase going off about to do travels. Actually, that was on my Strictly Come Dancing tour, actually, was that picture. But that suitcase encompasses everywhere I've been because I feel like my whole life has been travel. It's been a life of traveling with tennis. It's been a life of completely following the tennis world as a broadcaster, and I've done non-stop travel. And I continue to want to travel, so that particular picture, just for me, because of that suitcase, which has been everywhere with me, it sums up travel. But there's many pictures with my family traveling, in family holidays and everything, which I love. We always take, everybody's taking too many pictures, aren't they? You take them all and then you have thousands and you never, I sometimes sit on planes kind of looking back at lots of pictures of family travel. But I'm happiest when I'm with my family traveling. That is my happiest time, actually. So I want to, as I get older, I'd like to sort of at least once a year get the family together and be able to do a lovely holiday every year with it. And I think we're all happy when we're all together. We're like a little tight little group. So it's wonderful. That sounds
fantastic. And before I let you go, and you tell me where you're going next, I'd love to know where you're going next, but also what's next for you.
I've always wanted to do a safari. I've never done a safari, and it was always on my list with Mel, and I'm very, very heartbroken that he won't do that. But at some point I would love to do a safari, because I think, again, it will take me into nature and the animals, and I just think it would just be spectacular. So it's something I'd like to do. I think Tanzania and Zanzibar is sort of like, I've been hearing good things about there. Patagonia I would like to do. I've heard so much about that, and I have a lot of friends who've been there, and they come back and they just rave about it. The scenery, the visuals, nature, the mountains. It's kind of got a bit of everything. I would love to visit there. I'm listing it all out here, aren't I? But India, I've never been to India, and I think I should go there. Well, you need to do a new vision board. You did your letter, so now you need to do the places you wish to travel to. Where do you recommend I go? Because you'll be more travelled than me.
I think a safari is something that you have to do.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely thing to do with the family as well. Yes. It really, really is. Yeah. We have a fantastic hotel in Johannesburg with a private safari camp outside, which I highly recommend. It's reopening next year, and it's where Nelson Mandela wrote the Long Walk to Freedom.
Wow.
And it's private, but you see the Big Five. It's really lovely. But you could do that, and then you could do the other countries as well.
Wow, how amazing.
Patagonia, I haven't been to.
No.
But there's so many wonderful places. So any tips you need, just give me a call.
I will. I'll be phoning you.
The best of luck with from tennis balls to glitter balls.
Oh, thank you.
I'm going to look at where you're doing it, and I'm going to come.
Oh, please
and
let
come
me
and
know.
say goodbye. Come and say hello afterwards.
No, definitely. I will get you a ticket. Thank you so much. I would love to see you.
Thank you so much. It has been such a joy and delight. I knew it would be.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for sharing your travel secrets.
Thank you for having me.